اللہ رفقائے ختم نبوت عمان اور مسجد کے ساتھ میں کیمرج مسجد میں آیا ہوں اور امام صاحب ہمارا استقبال کر رہے ہیں.
As one of the imams here at Cambridge Central Mosque to welcome you today and to show you around. This is like a quick tour. We will not go in great detail, but if you have any questions you can always stop and ask me, why is this like that? Why did you design like that? And then we will tell you what we wanted to design differently maybe as well. So basically this whole complex comprises of two gardens. This is the Islamic garden, this is the public garden. This area in front of us is our front portico. The place where we just walked out is our atrium with the marble floor. Then we have like a conference or teaching room or multi-purpose room. On the left hand side, on the right hand side we have like a public cafeteria space for people to come and have their own coffee and tea. Hopefully we'll sit in there later on, or you might sit on your own if I'm busy. With Maulana Suhaib. So then we have a lovely professional kitchen over there. Ablution areas in the middle part, men's ablution area, probably you've already seen it because you just prayed Asr. And on the left hand side we have ladies entrance and the ablution areas for the ladies in the middle part, and also an additional supplementary wudu area and toilets for ladies at the rear. We also have the main prayer hall past the ablution areas, and rear portico and a little bit of plants and flowers around the masjid, and two residential units, a couple of offices inside, not many really, and also a mortuary. Okay, so a complete, life cycle events takes place in here, like aqiqas, then nikahs. Today we had 3 nikahs, and then we also have ghusl and janazah, and then people are taken for death and or burial at the cemetery. This Islamic garden is unique in what sense? Any garden which is designed like this in 4 folds, 4 folds, is Islamic aid garden, because each part here resembles one of the rivers, the 4 rivers of Jannah.
MashaAllah.
فيها
Yes,
exactly. من ماء آسن من لبن خير or min asal musaffa. All of these, each part resembles one of those 4 rivers of Jannah. And then every Islamic garden will have a fountain. So this is like an attempt to resemble Hawd al-Kawthar in a way, but of course we don't understand fully how many ponds will be there. Here hiyad, the plural of Hawd is hiyad in Arabic. So there'll be loads of different springs. Yet tasneem, ayn tasneem, ayn, all kinds. So we don't know. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that we get treated hiyad or hiyad, both. Yes, different. It's different, but in Arabic language you can have more than one. Akthar min jama, right? It's allowed. Anyway, but it's a very rare. It's hawd, and that one is hayd. يعني الواو والياء, it's not a harf متمكن, it's changeable. That's why it's subject to different views. Anyway, so basically what qualifies it as Islamic garden is the fountain and design in 4 phases. What else? Of course, whatever the weather permitted, jaw, we try to plant as many plants and trees that are mentioned in the Holy Scriptures in this garden. So whatever is mentioned in Quran or in the Hadith, we try to plant those different flowers. And the unique feature in a way is like this garden came at the forefront. This is not necessarily Islamic feature. In Muslim countries, garden is not at the front. It's in the middle, at the back, right? And the fountain is usually in the center, like the court, and all the rooms are around. This is Islamic really culture. So here was a bridge between Eastern and Western religious architecture. Likewise, in Muslim countries we don't have this hedge, the green hedge. This is common in medieval England. Mostly churches, they all had this hedge around them because the hedge is poisonous. So when animals came, goats, to gaze, they would bite a bit of this hedge, get food poison, and they don't come back. And in that way they solve the problem of churchyards. Okay? So let's go in the middle area. Let's go inside. This is the fourth portico. Couple of things we like there is a new nest up there. You have to go a little bit closer there. Couple of birds' nests. Ush. Yeah, one there and one over there. So we often have birds, they come on these trees because they think they are living trees. Ashjar.
امام صاحب کا بہت شکریہ ماشاءاللہ. جب بھی ہم آتے ہیں استقبال کرتے ہیں اور آج خصوصی طور پر آئے ہیں. یہ جو درخت دیکھ رہے ہیں یہ سوئٹزرلینڈ کے درخت ہیں اور اس کی لکڑیاں ہیں. یہ تفصیلات بتا رہے ہیں انگلش میں ہمارے مہمانوں کو.
So mashallah, we have now moved away from the outdoors area. What I wanted you to sense in the garden was the sound of water, صوت الماء, yeah, the sound of water, because why is there jannat, yeah, تجري من تحتها الأنهار? Why is this notion of water mentioned? Because Allah told us in the Quran, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. And the modern science really agrees to this theory. The source of life is water. They don't dispute that. It's just like the contemporary science still struggling to understand the miracle of life. They don't understand what happens. How come somebody is alive, living creature, and others are not, inanimate objects? They can't understand. But for us, all answers are in the Quran. Yeah, we have answers to everything. Alhamdulillah. So the idea really is to connect you with nature, tabi'ah. That's the idea. And to already start leaving, yeah, detaching yourself from dunya wa shugaliha, zuhud, a kind of zuhud. So you come and you hear the sound of water, you see green plants, you smell different fragrance from different, flowers and plants around in the garden. And then you come in here, you can still see through the glass doors, but they are supposed to be like soundproof. So if we close all of them and there's no noise around, we will not hear much noise from the outside. Why? Because we want to go into ibadah mode, right? Worship. So you come there, there's already reduction of noise. Here, less noise. And then when you come here, this is the only room where we have the the facade from the outside, the wall, outer walls, okay? So this basically has common English yellowish, very typical Victorian brick, okay, which is common here in Cambridge as well. All the university colleges have that color. But then we use this red color, which is also brick. This is just the face of the wall. The actual wall is made of timber, wood, and it's really thick. So we inscribed the verse from Quran there on the wall. قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ. And again, this is a Kufi calligraphy, al-Khatt al-Kufi, 4 squares, 4 murabba'at, right? So this is a unique feature. It's all around the masjid and in this room here, right? And then this marble floor also grabs your attention. What is so special about this marble floor? Couple of symbols, yeah, sha'a'ir deen. One is these 2 squares put together. This is a square, this is a square. Murabba, murabba. When you put 2 squares together, it becomes an octagonal shape. Yeah, 8 edges. This is arguably the most important symbol of Islamic geometry. Okay? Why? Because this symbol symbolizes the intersection between the heaven and the earth. In Arabic it means iltiqa bayna as-sama'i wal ard. Okay, so this symbol, that's why it's everywhere in Muslim countries. In Oman, everywhere, in the Far East, in Morocco, in the Southeast Asia, in East Asia, in Indonesia, everywhere. In the Balkans, where I come from, it's all over the Muslim world because it's so unique, it's so special. And again, the whole point is connection with Allah. Because every symbol of Islam, yeah, every ramz, yeah, wa sha'a'ir ad-din, like adhan, minaret, all of that is pointing towards ila sama, yeah? قَدْ نَرَى تَقَلُّبَ وَجْهِكَ فِي السَّمَاءِ. So, pointing towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And wherever you turn is Allah. فَأَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ. So, in a way, whatever you see, even the timber design, I'll tell you in the main prayer hall about that, really is an attempt to signpost, ishara, signpost all of us towards the one, ila al-wahid. And that's why قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, and the masjid is called Masjid al-Tawheed, because al-Tawheed is the most important article of our faith. So that is important. And now what the designer did, the geometer, he made this, like this is also 2 squares, but he played with angles here. Okay, it's not David star because this is 8, okay, octagonal shape. It became bigger, square, bigger, until the whole marble floor became square. So from smaller to bigger to bigger to bigger, he played with the shape. Okay, circle, da'ira. Circle is not necessarily Islamic symbol only, but the circle symbolizes the continuation of life. Istimrariyat al-hayat. So this is a common symbol to all people. But again, where did all ideas come from? The life and everything we Muslims believe. From Allah. So even the notion of da'ira, dawr. Everything is from Allah. Everything is from Allah. And what does that mean to us? وَإِلَيْهِ الْمَصِيرُ إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. So for us again, you know, reminding us of the beginning point and the end, which is Allah. Allah huwa al-awwal wal-akhir wal-zahir wal-batin. Okay, let's go in the main prayer hall. Inshallah, maybe tonight we will try. Quite risky, but we have to do something. Okay, inshallah. Okay, here it's quite noisy, so I think we sit down on the floor. Basically, this is like I'm trying to rush in a way because I have to read some Quran soon as well. But I'm really happy to meet you. Don't get me wrong, because there is nothing better to share than love. So Mawlana Rumi, he said, love is one of those things. If you give it away, you don't lose anything, there'll be more love. Okay? So this is like another Islamic concept which we try to instill in this building. So the sense of welcome, the sense of inclusion, like being inclusive, not marginalizing females or children or any particular community. Exactly, welcome everybody. And also try to spread love, because love is magical. Why? Because it comes from Allah. None of us chooses who to love. You fall in love, right? وَالْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِنِّي. Allah said to Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. So Allah throws love on us and puts it in our hearts. So may Allah increase our love towards each other.
Amen.
So this is our main prayer hall. What is unique in this main prayer hall and the masjid as a whole, I have to say, the outstanding feature is its timber structure. You know, this whole mosque is basically made of wood, timber. That's really difficult. It's good to do that because it's environmentally sustainable. That's why the masjid is eco-friendly and very unique. Because I read somewhere, out of all building materials, the only building material which you can regrow is actually wood. You might think like cutting a tree, it's haram. Yeah, it's haram in a country where there's hardly any trees, like in desert, in Sahara. But what did we do? We allocated in Scandinavia a forest which had plenty of trees, like in Brazil, right? The biggest tropical forests. So you go to a place which has plenty of shajar, yeah, wood, you cut some, and then forestry is actually a science. Then you plant them again. And there are stages, and they know exactly how long it takes for each type of tree to grow. So in that sense, it's environmentally friendly. And also, we want to run away from concrete and plastic because it's everywhere now. We are contaminated by it in our cities. So even though these are cut panels, it's wood, it still serves some function of sucking the carbon dioxide in, CO2, which is very amazing. So this is why I think the whole world, in a way, will have to move a little bit more towards wooden structures again. Wooden windows again, furniture, as much as possible. But in a wise way, you know, organized, centralized way, whereby we are not ruining forests, exploiting forests, and, you know, impoverishing certain countries and then causing chaos in the environment. So the timber structure is unique. Why? Because our architect, Al-Musammi, he actually came up with this idea from Al-Masjid al-Nabawi, the original Prophet's Masjid in Medina. When he built it, we have some accounts, old historic records, books, which tell us that when the Prophet ﷺ was building it with the Sahaba, they used the palm trunks, trees as columns, amada, umud, right? So he understood this idea, and they used the palm leaves like the basic roof structure, right, with some mud, right? So he said, I'm going to grow trees in this land, which is this plot, 1.2 acres. And I saw his early drawings on his laptop. He passed away, the architect.
Can I ask his name?
David Marks. His name is David Marks. He designed the London Eye.
London Eye.
London.
That's
it's the same company. Yeah, Marks Barfield's his name.
London Eye.
Him and his wife, Julia. David and Julia. They are not Muslim, right? But he was always interested in religious, sacred architecture.
MashaAllah.
Anyway, so he studied Islamic architecture, and he studied the early Islamic architecture. And he realized, I can grow trees on this land, and as the trees grow, like on his computer, yeah, the branches will spread out, and I'm going to intertwine the branches. He will link them, and that will give him a basic roof structure. And that's exactly what he did. So the core structure of this masjid is all this wood. So if you see, like, these beams are like, they are like aghsar, yeah? They are like branches of a proper tree. They look like trees, all right, to a pigeon that fell recently in one of those columns. This is ghab, right? A proper forest, okay, wood. So basically one beam goes into this other column. Then from there goes into the next one, and it's all intertwined like a shabaka, yeah? And supporting one another. And this is a masterpiece of Islamic geometry, right? Very precise. Only 2 companies in the world can do something like this. Al-Qaws, the arches, yeah? To bend the wood like that. And to twist it. Because look, it's even bended and twisted. Wood is not flexible, it's not a rubber, okay? It's like, it's not a concrete. When it's in a fluid, you can basically do whatever you like. Iron, heat, hot, just do whatever you like. Wood doesn't let you. You can't really work hard with wood, whatever you like. But they've done an amazing job, I have to say. What else is unique in this roof? This pattern, which you can see here, this is called Tanafusur Rahman, yeah? It's in the roof structure. You know, these patterns are there in the roof structure. And also, the roof reminds us of Gothic fan vaulting, which is a unique feature of Western religious architecture, like the King's College Chapel, you know, the cathedral in London, yeah? Many basilicas in Italy and other across the Western Europe. So the architect really tried to come up with an idea, bridging the East and the West, and to try to come up with an idea of a 21st century UK masjid, because we don't know what a mosque looks like in England, because there are hardly any. It's one of the first eco-friendly mosques. In Europe, arguably the very first, and the only prominent one at this scale, because there are some tiny mosques in my country, Bosnia, made of wood long time ago, but they can fit 20 people. This is a decent structure, very heavy and expensive to build. But there are plenty of wooden mosques in Morocco, in Indonesia, national project. Yeah? Alhamdulillah, I'm happy the Muslim Ummah is waking up and doing something. But in Europe, this is one of the first eco-friendly mosques. What else is important in this masjid? The idea came from Al-Masjid al-Nabawi, a grove of trees forming calm oasis. That's the architect's idea which won the competition. Yeah? So he said, a calm oasis within a grove of trees. So these are all columns like trees, like ghaba, yeah? And this brings tranquility, sakina. So, وَالَّذِي أَنزَلَ السَّكِينَةَ عَلَيْكُمْ. So the sakina comes from up above, descends on us. Yeah? Sakina and rahmah. So he came up with that idea, which is amazing. And then we were really lucky to have 2 tiles, which are the blue tiles in the mihrab, from Masjid al-Aqsa, Jerusalem. And of course then, towards the end of the grand opening, one really prominent Muslim leader gave us kiswa, a piece of kiswa from Kaaba Sharifa, and he actually paid for the framing of it, and he, paid for its transportation on a military aircraft. So, alhamdulillah, Allah blessed us to have all three sacred mosques of our deen embedded in this masjid here. So the idea is from Masjid al-Nabawi, we have kiswa from the Kaaba Sharifa, and then we have two tiles. Each one is 400 years old from Jerusalem, the blue tiles behind the glass in the mihrab. Of course, the qubba is unique as well. It has this pattern, Tanaffusul Rahman, which means the breath of the compassionate. The calligraphy and the mihrab design is also very magnificent, I have to say. A masterpiece of art, because it was designed by nobody else but Hussein Kutlu. Hussein Kutlu is a ustad, master of calligraphy, Ustad al-Khatt al-Arabi, al-Islami, from Istanbul, traditional Ottoman calligrapher. He designed the mihrab. You see the ayah, he put this sulus calligraphy, Allahu nur samawati wal ard, which is very important ayah. That's why we have these like roof openings, not classical windows, not nawafid. We have like roof openings. So he designed that and the mimbar, okay, and all those discs which are on the walls, the calligraphy, each one is an ayah from the Quran that bears like a major principle of our religion. He also, wrote all of that or designed it, his workshop. And you can see even Tanaffusul Rahman pattern in the calligraphy pieces as well.
What about the lights? No lights here.
They are lights. The rings which are in the columns, above, under the roof, they are our lights. So I was just going to go to put them on now because it's getting darker and darker. The net above them is basically fan extractor. So all the hot air, the heat obviously naturally goes up by itself. Allah made it like that as a law, sunnatullah fil ard. So it goes up, and then that mesh basically is a fan extractor. It takes out the hot air. And the grills over there, which you can see nicely designed, it has so many things on it, lets the cold air come from the outside in, okay, and the hot air is pushed up and goes outside. That's how we ventilate the premise naturally. And we also have underfloor heating. We have photovoltaic array panels on the roof, solar panels. We harvest rainwater. We recycle water, which is used in the ablution areas. The building is extra airtight, so when we heat it in the summer, we close the doors. The heat doesn't escape, so we don't waste too much money on heating it. And the underfloor heating is very clever because there are sensors in the building, all across the building, that measure the hot air, the temperature, the humidity levels, all kinds of sensors. So when it's really cold, there is a BMS system, computer system, which manages the building. It will send, the sensor will send a signal to the computer, and then the computer will order the air source heat pumps, which are on the roof, to turn on and heat the water. And the hot water comes in the pipes for the underfloor heating. The same principle works for the cooling. When it's too humid, there are humidity level sensors. They measure the carbon dioxide, CO2 levels. If the building is too full, like on Juma or Eid or Ramadan, we all breathe in and out. What do? We breathe in oxygen and we exhale carbon dioxide, right? So when we breathe out too much and too many people, it's too humid. So what happens is, the sensors send the signal to the computer again, there's not enough oxygen for us. Then the computer orders, there's a motor behind the grill, to open like a door, ladder. The doors open and the fresh air flows in.
Subhanallah.
That's how the cooling system works basically. So lots of clever things in here, and it was not simple to do. For the du'as, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.